So as you all know, we have the first unit in our chapter the first unit is Introduction and Index Properties of Soil. So as you all know it, we will every time discuss the what is the unit outcomes and what is the major contents of this of the given unit. So by the end of this unit, you will be able to we'll be able to characterize what type of soils based on its physical and index properties. Index properties are nothing but these are the engineering characteristics of any soil. So by the end of this unit, the student will be able to characterize and classify different kinds of soils based on different properties, like it might be color, it might be texture, it might be some other engineering properties. So that is a major outcome of this unit, as we have discussed earlier also. So let's go to the next one. So this is what the outcome we have. Is the previous one we have discussed is the unit outcome. So coming to the complete course outcome. So what are you are going to get out of this geotechnical engineering? I think you have already understood what you have got out. So the complete outcome, we'll be able to characterize and classify different kinds of soils. We'll be able to estimate seepage, stresses, compaction, and what are the compaction characteristics, different types of compaction controls, analyze the compressibility, that is both consolidation and settlements, consolidation settlements, compaction settlements, and everything, and also the strength of the soils under various drainage conditions. So this is the basic theory which we have in the geotechnical engineering syllabus, and we always use and we have these textbooks to be followed, like basic and applied soil mechanics by Gopal Ranjan and ASR Rao, soil mechanics and foundation engineering by VNS Murthy's, foundation engineering by Varghese. So out of all, anything you can use, but preferably the first textbook is a little easier in terms of student understanding. So these are also the reference books which we can use. I hope you remember all those data. And coming to the first part, that is origin of soils. So I think everybody know that I think you remember that's a basic thing. So father of soil mechanics is Carl Tarzagi. He is the one who have contributed a lot in the field of soil mechanics. So he is called as the father of soil mechanics. Coming to the soil formation, you know that how soils are formed. So soil is a naturally occurring unconsolidated earth material above the bedrock. That means like we have rocks and everything due to certain processes like disintegration or decomposition, like chemical, like physical weathering and all. So by all this process, the rocks get disintegrated, and these will be either deposited at the particular location, or they will be like they'll be deposited in the particular location, or they'll be transported with the help of wind or water and anything, and like that they'll be forming different kinds of soils. So it is generally a naturally occurring process. When the large size rocks and boulders are exposed to atmosphere, it will undergo physical disintegration and chemical decomposition due to atmospheric agencies, and hence leads to the formation of soil. That is what we have discussed. Like large rocks, when they're exposed to atmospheric conditions, they'll be either physically disintegrated or chemically decomposed due to certain other factors or environmental factors, and based on the other transporting agencies, they'll be either transported or there'll be as residual soils also. So pedogenesis is the process of formation of soil. So we call process of formation of soil as pedogenesis. So coming to the formation of soil, I have told you there are two types. One is by weathering of rocks, or second is geological agents. Weathering of rocks is nothing but the weathering process is either mechanical or physical weathering, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. There are three different types of weathering processes. One is mechanical or physical weathering, second one is chemical weathering, and third one is biological weathering. So these are the different types of weathering. So first, let us discuss about physical weathering. If you remember, physical weathering is nothing but based on the temperature, abrasion, wedging action of ice, and all those. So whenever the rocks come into contact with all these effects, so then physical weathering takes place. Then because of this, there will not be any change in the chemical composition of the particles. It results in the coarse grained and non-cohesive soils. So by physical weathering, we always get coarse grained and non-cohesive soils only. So coming to the chemical weathering, so original rock minerals are transformed into clay minerals. So rock minerals mean clay minerals get transformation in nature. It will happen. So results in fine grain and cohesive soils. So in the previous one, we'll get coarse grain and non-cohesive soils, and the chemical weathering will have fine grain and cohesive soils. So if you are asked to give a difference between both physical and chemical weathering, you have to remember is in physical weathering we have coarse grained and non-cohesive soils, and chemical weathering we have fine grained and cohesive soils. The chemical weathering is also like, so in the chemical weathering also we have different processes like oxidation, hydration, carbonation, solution or leaching, and hydrolysis. So these are all the processes that will be occurring in chemical weathering. So coming the third process, biological weathering. So biological weathering is nothing but it is based on the bacteria and other organisms. So based on all the other organisms, like bacteria, they'll have a reaction with the rock materials, and then weathering takes place due to some chemical changes, and these will result in the formation of organic soils like peat, humus. So other organic soils which you have, these organic soils are also called as cumulose soils. So you need to remember all these technical terms so that you might get in your short answers. So organic soils are also called as cumulose soils, and examples like organic soils, I think you remember peat, humus, and many other soils are there. So these are the three different types of weatherings. That is the first kind of rock formation. So second one is geological agents. So based on the geological agents are nothing but the natural forces which are responsible for modifying the irregularities on the Earth's surface. So based like these are responsible for any other modifications on the Earth's surface. So these are again further classified. So these are classified based on origin as endogenous geological agents and exogenous geological agents. Endogenous and exogenous. Endo and exo. So endogenous geological agents are they originate below the Earth's surface. Endogenous is below the Earth's surface. If this is the Earth's surface, so below this is endogenous, and above this is called as exogenous. So endogenous are originating below Earth's surface, and they create topographic irregularities, and exogenous, they are above the Earth's surface, and they help in transporting the rock minerals from one place to the other. So, coming to the examples of endogenous, there are volcanic eruption, earthquakes, groundwater, etc. These are the endogenous geological agents which help in the soil formation. So, exogenous geological agents, example are river, wind, ocean, glaciers, etc., which will help in transporting soil from one place to other. So, during transportation, it causes breakdown of soil mass due to abrasion and attrition also. So, the next one is the types of soil. So based on the transportation or based on the way they are formed or based on any other conditions, we'll be dividing the soils into different categories. So coming to the first one, based on transportation, uh, we we classify soils as first one as sedimentary or transported soils. Second one is sedentary or residual soils. Sedentary, based on the technical terms. So based on the easy terms, it is like transported soils and residual soils. Sedimentary soils are nothing but transported soils. Sedentary soils are known as residual soils. A small difference. It's a sedimentary, transported. Sedentary, it is residual. So coming to the first one, transported soils. Transported soils are nothing but they'll soil is formed at one place, but due to certain factors, the soil is transported from one place to another, like by the help of wind, or it can be by the help of water or anything. So they are formed at one place, but they're later on, with the help of these agents, they are moved to a certain distance or to any different areas, and they get located and they get fixed there. So these are called as transported soils. Residual soils are nothing but they are formed at the place where their rock is present only. So a rock ఎక్కడైతే present అయినదో at that place only, because based on the weathering process or based on any other mechanism, they'll be formed at that location only. So those are called as sedentary or residual soils. So soil particles created at one location, transported and finally deposited at another location. That is for transported soils. So based on the source of transportation, we can like we have given a name for the type of soil. So if lakes are the source of transportation, it is called as lacustrine soils. If rivers and streams are called as alluvial soils. If it is sea, it is called as marine soil. Wind, aeolian soils. Gravitation, colluvial soils. Glacial soils. River soil near ocean is called as estuarine soil. So I'm repeating once again. So based on the lakes, based on the source of transportation, the type of soil I'm telling you. If it's lakes, it is called lacustrine soils. If it's rivers and streams, it is called as alluvial. If it is sea, it is called as marine soil. If it is wind, it is called as aeolian soils. If it's gravitation, it is called as colluvial. If it's glacier, it is called as glacial soil. And if it's river soil near ocean, it's called as estuarine soils. And these are the examples also. So next to residual soil. So these soils remain on the parent rock without getting transported. So without getting transported. Example like black cotton soils and laterite soils. So they wherever the rock is physically weathered or chemically, some weathering process is done or some process of formation is done. There only they'll be available. So those soils are called as residual soils because they are staying at the place of formation itself. And next come so the examples like black cotton soil and laterite soil. So coming to black cotton soils, so most of the coastal areas have black cotton soils. These are formed due to chemical weathering. Parent rock is basalt or trap. Trap is also one type of rock. Exhibits large swelling and shrinkage due to presence of montmorillonite clay mineral. So black cotton soils are generally formed due to chemical weathering of parent rocks like basalt and trap, and they have the property of exhibiting a large swelling and shrinkage due to the presence of Montmorillon clay minerals. If you remember, clay is having different kinds of minerals like Montmorillonite, illite. So in that, this black cotton soils are having Montmorillonite clay mineral. So because of that, they have the property of swelling or shrinkage. Second one is laterite soil. So these are formed due to leaching of some minerals away from parent rock. So the minerals are leached from the parent rock. Leaching means removal of the top layer. So that is done in the formation of lateral soil. General red or pink color is due to the iron oxide. So these soils are generally in red or pink color, and this is majorly due to the predominance of iron oxide in that rock. So that is based upon, so this is based upon the transportation. So based upon the average grain size, we have coarse grain and fine grain. If the grain size is greater than 0.075 mm, it is called as coarse grain. If it's less than 0.07 that, so it is called as fine grain. So examples of coarse grain is gravels and sands. Examples of fine grain is silt and clays. So forces acting on the soil particles. So we have different kinds of forces acting on the soil particles like gravitational force or body force. It is proportional to the mass and it's predominant in gravels and sand. So gravitational force is mostly predominant in gravels and sand. The second one is surface force. It is proportional to the surface area. So based on surface area only, we have the surface force and cohesion. And it's predominantly present in clay. So the gravitational force are present in gravels and sands, and surface force is present in clays. So that is about different types of soils based on the how they are formed and based on the transportation or based on different factors how they are named. So second.